Well, for you, out of all places that you could move, and it's interesting because you know I'm in the process right now of moving from San Francisco after 9 years here to Miami. And 2 years ago, if you told me that I was going to live in South Florida, I would say, "Can you please pass me the handgun because I'm gonna kill myself before I even get there." Because you go there and you would be this like frivolous shit of just a bunch of people that were only showing off and taking selfies with Lamborghinis and all that stuff, and it was very uninteresting in that sense for me, at least intellectually. And a portion of this comment, certainly comes with a little bit of Silicon Valley arrogance, and then I admit that. But then it fully shifted, and the pandemic has been complex and horrible in so many ways, but there are also good aspects of it. And one of them is this intellectual decentralization of the spirit of Silicon Valley in a very rapid pace. And what led you to South Florida? And I know you're in Brazil right now, but do you think eventually you will go and live in
Yeah,
Miami area? And yeah.
I'm in Boca. I have a house and I'm not living there right now. I think got some travel issues on that with the pandemic, and I had to come to Brazil to get my L1 visa, and since then with all the complexity, I wasn't able to do it. But I decided to set up shop in Boca, and it's been a very powerful experience. Like, I love the culture. For us, because we work with customers across uh, uh, Mexico, Brazil, in US, and in the US and Canada, most of our customers are on the uh, uh,
East Coast.
East Coast. Uh, it it was a perfect fit. Same time zone, um, great cost of living, great quality of life, great talent. Um, I would say the intellectual diversity is something wasn't able to seize yet. I haven't made a lot of connections outside of our team and our close network, but that's something I can't wait to take a look. I'm seeing a huge migration and a very hot moment to be in tech in Florida. That's pretty
It's awesome.
exciting.
Well, when you come there, I will be more than happy to introduce you to a bunch of people. I put myself into this goal of like I'm having a 300 meetings in the first 90 days for only new people that I've never met before. And it's happening, and it's booming. And the second aspect about what you're talking about in terms of diversity of thought around South Florida is the openness that people have regarding just business across the board. Uh, if there, I was already unhappy on several aspects about living in San Francisco since the last 3 years or so. When I moved here 9 years ago, the Silicon Valley was awesome. Was very open, very cooperative, and the minute that I think it really started to change was when the Google bus protests started happening 5, 6 years ago, where you just had these like, really weird socialist vegan people fucking throwing rocks at the Google bus, which is a really stupid form of like protesting, right? This is just a company that needs to take their employees one place to another. Like, it's not the source of problems for your life. So why are you throwing rocks at the Google bus? Um, I think that the mayor that passed away, unfortunately, Ed Lee, was doing great things for the city. He was doing a bunch of tax incentives. So, Twitter, Square, Uber, they all came to San Francisco, into a region of the city that was filled with crime and drugs. And it continues, unfortunately, to be in that situation. It did get a little bit better because these offices moved there. But it's tough because most of these companies, they employ a lot of people, and for you to function as Google or Uber when you have 20, 30, 50, 90, 100,000 employees, you don't want everyone to just be a super innovative, creative entrepreneur. You just also need people that will only follow orders and just kind of like live a pretty conservative life. So the I like Peter Thiel's argument on that, which it's almost as if Twitter's still a great company. It's like, hey, we wanted flying cars, all we got was 140 characters, and the typical personal profile of a middle manager in a tech company that's making $200,000 a year with all the benefits, it transforms a lot of these people into uncreative, uninteresting humans. And I would then go to parties or hikes or socially meet some of these people. They would think that they were better. They were. It's not like meeting other founders or investors or artists or just interesting people. I think that over time, San Francisco, this is not true for the entire Bay Area, but it started just losing its essence. So you had an incredible diversity of thought, but very, very, very low diversity of thinking. It's a monoculture. Everything would just run around tech, and then over time, it became very transactional. So people would only meet if there was some. It just the hippiness aspect of it, which I love capitalism, but I also do like the empathy of of like the Woodstock type of vibe, and just it was started to just get weaker and weaker and weaker. So I felt that I could be accepted how I am in Miami in a far better way than how I felt in San Francisco for the last like 3.5 years or so. Uh, and cancel culture is definitely a big aspect of it. And I
I
don't know.
feel
Yeah,
a lot of openness and friendliness in Florida that I didn't see that in SF. But I also see that our industry, we are connected, we are remote and distributed, and suddenly it doesn't necessarily make sense anymore to be in SF to have a network there. So I'm very excited about what Florida and Miami are how they're positioning themselves, how they're welcoming the foreigners coming in. But I'm also very, I don't think Silicon Valley will change a lot because of this, but I know for sure that the world and Florida and a lot of other places will become better places with more bigger tech scenes, more distributed communities.
that's right. That's right. And also, the vast majority of people. I was actually looking at the data on because when you move in the U.S., right, you request address change through the postal service. Vast majority of people that left the city of San Francisco, they just went to Marin County, which is where I am right now. It's up north. It's very safe, very family oriented, beautiful nature. And so people are still in the Bay Area. They just left the crazy aspect of how horribly run the city of San Francisco is. It became a dangerous city and an interesting city. So most people, especially like anyone that has reached enough success financially to buy a home in the Bay Area, they're all staying. Like so that's the thing. Silicon Valley isn't going anywhere. That whole rhetoric about people trying to copy Silicon Valley, also I think it's just really stupid. Different ecosystems should be what they are. Not try to copy something else. Calling them silicon something. It's just like I think it's a horrible way of looking at things. And we, at least at Atman, will continue to have an office here. And but the idea is to actually have a house where founders, when they come, they can stay at the fund's house. And we cook together, and we have
Oh,
meals together, and we have parties together. It's like more of like a communal, setup, which I think it's a far better approach than just trying to have some sort of a presence or something like that. So in the end, it's just very positive.
no,
And yeah,
no, I'm very excited about this. I think um, it means a lot for founders in the US that are not based in San Francisco, but it's the beginning of something even bigger. Like it's happening at the same scale worldwide, and that's exciting.
it's awesome. I think it's fantastic. And It's only gonna get better. We're just in the early innings of it, which is even better.